We welcome Mr. Asif Iqbal. I'm very happy to talk with him. He is a respected Indian Muslim from India and Executive Director of the Asian Arab Chamber of Commerce. He will share with us about leadership issues in the community and future prospects. Mr. Asif, how do you see the future of Indian Muslimship and leadership?
Well, the question, as to Indian leadership, are an Indian Muslim, are a Muslim in India, there is a lot of conflicts that you have internally. First of all, one has to understand what is a Muslim in India who is different from an Indian Muslim. The Indian Muslim has his identity of being a part of a huge Indian canvas, a colorful mix of different religious castes. We have around 3,500 different castes in the country. And the Indian Muslim is very fortunate to be a part of such a huge canvas. You see, nowhere in the world does the Muslims have this kind of a huge canvas. We get to eat different types of food, we get to meet different kinds of people, we get to interact with different communities, people who believe in different religions, they have different belief systems, you see, and we have picked up a lot of energy from other communities as well. We are the most tolerant, peaceful community, you see, and that's why I think we are very fortunate and much more, we are lucky, we are lucky to be in this country, we are lucky to be born here, and we would be really lucky to die in this country, because we are a part of this huge colorful canvas. And when we talk about the leadership, I think leadership does have to address the need of calling itself an Indian first and then a Muslim.
When I say to you separate state concept, what do you think?
Well, the separate state concept, the noble lineage, Islam's noble lineage that we come from, we believe in the state of brotherhood. We want to be the brotherhood and not a nationhood. It is a mistake to think that people should have their communities in a separate state, or a state has to have its people. No, we have to be a part of the community that we are living in and get ourselves integrated in the community that we are in. So we should believe in brotherhood and not nationhood. And there is no way that the nationhood has to support something like where religions form a different nation. If that was the case, then the countries of the Gulf region like the Saudi Arabia, Bahrain and Dubai, they all could be together as one nation, but they are not, especially because they have a language, they have a culture which is common, but still they are not a single nation, because it is not a question of nationhood, it is a question of brotherhood, and we have to live with this brotherhood. And I think it's a failure, the proof that nationhood which was created in the part of the partition is a failure. So you see, there is no point in going for a nationhood, and it is a failed concept. Nationhood is a failed concept, and now I don't think there should be any more nationhoods or any such concepts being created.
Okay, when I say the words Mughal Empire and rise and fall, when I mention those words, what is your first thinking about that?
Well, India had a very prosperous rule, of the Mughal Empire, and we ruled this nation for 300 and odd years. It started from the time of Babur, and it ended up till the time of Aurangzeb. So this was a huge, it was a rule. The Mughal Empire rule prospered, and we had a 23% share in the global trade. India had a share of that much, and it was a success. It was a very big success, and then it also came down because of a different Islam that was followed by one emperor and then another emperor. It was a common religion. It was the same Islam that started from Babur, and it ended with Aurangzeb. But the Islam that was followed by Babur was different from the Islam followed by Akbar and the Islam that was followed by Aurangzeb. So you see, there are different ideologies that they all followed using the same religion. So we need to understand today, if the Islam that is there in this world Is it the same being followed by everybody in the same way? I don't think so. Because if you see the Islam followed by Babur, when he came, it was, he came to this country and he destroyed temples and killed people, and then he became a ruler. And then he started conquering different parts of this country. You see, the most prosperous there were, I would say, we had some 6 important rulers of the Mughal Empire, and I wouldn't go in mentioning all others, but yes, I would like to say the most important one, starting from Babur. Then you had Humayun, and then you had Akbar. Akbar's time was the most prosperous in the history of India, and during this time, India reached its peak. That was the reason why India's Mughal Empire flourished. And let me tell you, the belief systems, the type of ruling that Akbar had, and the way he administered this country was different. And that was a prosperous rule that has to be adapted by India's Muslims today. And Akbar was somebody who embraced all the religions. He had people from different communities who helped him. People who were his subordinates from non-Muslim community, he adapted them and he took them as his partners and he cooperated with them. He had a great interest in studying other religions. He had somebody to teach gospel for his son, Prince Murad, and then he had somebody in his, in his court to write and translate gospel in the local language. He had a very good relation with the Jews. He had a great relationship with the Hindus. You see, he knew that being in a country with the majority, he had to go with the majority, take the majority with him, be with them, tie up with them, cooperate with them, collaborate with them, and integrate with them. And that is how it was a very, very prosperous nation at that time. But however, after him, we had another era where it was Aurangzeb, and that was a downfall of the Mughal Empire. Why was that? Because Aurangzeb had his own concept of Islam. He had a radical view and a fundamentalist view, you see, and he was someone who imprisoned his father for whatever reasons. He killed his brothers, you see, and his brother, Dara Shikho was his brother who was killed, and only because he believed in the non-Muslim scriptures, and he thought the Upanishads had a great influence for influence in somebody's life, and he believed that peace and tolerance and harmony was the key for prosperity. But Aurangzeb did not believe in that ideology, so he killed his brother, and he killed his other brothers as well. So you see, the downfall of his empire started because he was busy doing these things. He was busy fighting with people. He was busy not to do anything else. That the empire crashed, and then there was no leadership to follow. Of course, Bahadur Shah Zafar, who came after him, was very insignificant, so he was not a great leader. However, the downfall started at the time of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb's rule was the beginning of the downfall of the Mughal Empire, and it happened. And so you see that today, and you see that in today's Indian Muslims, you have 2 types of those ideologies. That's the same also in the subcontinent. That's also same, in other parts where people are from the subcontinent. You have the Akbar ideology, where people believe in harmony, where people believe in secularism, where people believe that everybody should be together, where people want to give a lot of space to other people to come with them and take forward. So I think that is what today's Indian Muslims have to look at and see, that the growth, prosperity, and development of the country should be taken ahead with that ideology, by being together with everybody and by being, integrate themselves with all the other communities, by embracing their culture, by embracing them and not isolating themselves, you see. And then you have on the other hand, you have the concept of the ideology of Aurangzeb, which is followed by, some nations, which is followed by organizations, which is followed by, the groups who, who are spreading terror, you see. But they also have the ideology of Islam. There is also an ideology of Islam. But in India, the ideology of Islam is the one that can take the Akbar's ideology and rule this nation, and not use the ideology of Aurangzeb and, and do any kind of damage. And let me tell you, today, the ecosystem, the global ecosystem he is going to be supporting the Akbar concept and not the Aurangzeb concept, because this is the time when people have to live in harmony, peace, and habitual coexistence.
When I say to you separate state concept, what is your thinking?
Well, I believe that the nationhood and brotherhood are two different things. There is nowhere, in Islam that says, the people of this community have to have their own state. And so it was wrong. It was a failure. It is in front of the world to see that the whole partition process is a failure. It is completely, it is in chaos. You see, so it should not have happened. And now that it has happened, I think we should just get on with this. So I don't think it's a successful formula at all.
Okay. Does the Indian Muslim feel himself obliged in any nation to this?
You see, the Indian Muslim has to raise his voice and speak about anything that happens in this country, not just with the community, but with everybody of the nation. He should not just talk about, you talk about something that happens to your community. Why not talk about other people? Why not express solidarity? Why not express solidarity with the Sikh community, whose people died in the riots in 1984? Why not, express solidarity with the Pandits who have been displaced out of their region in Kashmir? If we are a part of this country, we have every reason to be morally obliged to see that we have a voice, and they have to be helped, and they had to have a voice. We never had a voice. We never had a voice any time at the time of the Tamils being displaced. We never had a voice any time for different other incidents that have happened in the history. We talk about the 1982 the Babri Mosque riots, and we have never expressed solidarity with the other people of the other communities. We are making a big fuss about one person being hanged for some 350 or 400 people who died in the Mumbai blast. So we have to express solidarity with those 300 people. You see, so we cannot be one-sided. And we cannot say that we are being secular or we are being a part of this nation. When you are a part of this nation, everybody is a part of you, and you are a part of everybody. So it is very, very important that we identify ourselves with understanding and expressing solidarity and being with every issue that happens with every Indian in this country, not just the people of our community. So that is the leadership that has to come up and talk about it.
Okay, when I say the words Mughal Empire and the words rise and fall, what is the first thinking what you are...
You see, the Mughal Empire also followed the religion of Islam. Islam was a religion. It's happening in different parts of the world. The religion is the same, but what Muslims believe and what they want to believe in is the question today. If you see, the Mughal Empire started with arrival of Babur. His concept of Islam was he came and destroyed the Somnath temple, and he killed 50,000 people, and then he just conquered, and he continued his conquest all over the country. Now that was his way of doing things, and he started off. But in the same lineage, you had an emperor in Akbar. I'm talking to you about 6 important rulers of this of the Mughal Empire, who made a difference to the empire and the dynasty as a whole. I'm not going to talk about a lot of other people who are a part of the empire. In fact, Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last of the kings, but he was not significant at all. I want to talk to you about the most significant people who followed Islam in different ways in India. Now, you had Babur, and then you had the next one to be most important was Akbar. Akbar was a great ruler of India, and he had his system, his ideology of Islam was different, and he believed in integration of all religions. He believed in the integration of the majority community. He realized that if he has to succeed and prosper in this country, he has to have these people with him and then go along with them. He had the courage to understand other religions, and that the great high level of tolerance that he obtained is something what today's India's Muslims should do. You see, he was the one who had his son learning a gospel. He had a separate teacher to teach gospel to his son, Prince Murad. You see, and then he was interested in learning Zoroastrianism, and then he was interested in aligning with the Rajputs. He was interested in aligning with the various the Hindu community. Even though he was a ruler in India, he understood and accepted the fact that he had to be with them to have a prosperous and successful country, and that was a great model, and it was during his time Indian Mughal empire was at its peak, you see. So he followed that type of Islam, and I profess and I think that today's Muslims have to follow that type of Islam which was followed by Akbar, and that is going to help the Indian Muslims to get leadership of this country and take this country forward as a country, as their country, and not as, you know, as aliens in their own nation, you see. So this is a country that belongs to them. They have every right in this country, and they have to see that they go along with other communities and take them along with them, and they all go together and make this a prosperous. We are looking at the leadership of this country. We are looking at India's leadership over the globe, over this world.
Sorry, Mr. Asif, to interrupt you.
Yes.
Are there no conflicts at all?
Well, there is no conflict, absolutely no conflict. This is a great country, and I'm telling you, the people of this country, the different so-called majority of this country is with you. They do everything that you want to. They are there with you to help you and support you. You see, it is a false notion to say that, you know, minorities have kept themselves out of this, of the system, which is wrong. It is you who have kept yourself out of it. India is a great canvas. It is a place where you are welcomed. You are, all your talents are welcomed. You see, there are people who have excelled in arts, in films, in Bollywood. It is not because they are from any community. It is because they are good. And if you do good work in this country, you have the place, and you can lead this country if you are good. And if you have the interest, and if you have the interest and the courage to take this country forward, to take India forward, you can lead India. And a Muslim's heart has to bleed for India. And that is when he's going to take India forward. And you need these people to take this country forward.
So do you see a threat of Hindu Rashtra?
Not at all. I don't see any threat. You see, let me tell you, when we had a partition, when the partition was done in 1947, it was opposed. The partition was opposed by the other elements. It was only favored by a certain group of people. You see, so the partition, that means they were not in favor of the partition. So majority of the Hindus were not in favor of the partition. They were in favor of having this nation together. They never wanted to break the nation. And that is why we had a Nathuram Godse who came, and he reacted in his way that he had to express what he felt. You see, so this whole idea of breaking this country and dividing and ruling is not at all a successful model if we are talking about progress of this country and of taking India forward. So it has to be one India. There is no Muslim India, there is no Hindu India, there is no Sikh India, there is no Gujarati India, or there is no Marathi India. There is just one India, and we have to work at one India concept. There is absolutely no threat. You see, there is, in fact, the current regime of the Prime Minister that we have, he was the first one to invite the Prime Minister of Pakistan for his swearing-in ceremony, violating all the protocol. You see, so because he wanted to have a peaceful India, and we have to realize that the interest of Indian Muslims, it is important that we maintain peace and harmony with our neighbors. Our neighbors have to be happy, our neighbors have to be strong, our neighbors have to feel safe, and that is we can feel safe. And we have an obligation to ensure that we maintain this with them. Absolutely, there is no threat. I don't see any threat to this country. I don't see any kind of, absolutely no threat. I don't see any threat. And I want to assure everybody that they have a strong democracy in this country. You have the high courts, you have the Supreme Courts, you have the state. The state is very strong here, and you have to trust in the state to make it more stronger. You just can't go against the state. You can't give statements, or you cannot talk against the state. You see, you have to trust the state will deliver what it has been given to deliver. And we have a very strong constitution, and we are one of the largest democracies in this world, and we are a part of this democracy. And there is no way that we can be out of this system, and we have to take forward, we have to take charge of this country and see that we help and move this country forward.
How do you see that in practice when we speak about people to people? Because those are very positive words.
Well, you see, people to people contact and people to people connect is something that, that we have to initiate. You see, the two countries of India and Pakistan, let me tell you, the whole concept of partition, we had a same roof, and we lived for 5,000 years together. And just 67 years of separation is not going to change anything. Nothing is going to change just with the 67 years of separation. We were together for 5,000 years. You see, it's like a family living under the same roof, and you just put a partition wall, and then you are living that side and we are living this side, but you still share the same roof. You can't get away from this. We are divided by history, but we are united by geography. You cannot change this geography here. So the geography remains the same. Though history might have divided us, geography is going to keep us united. Let us try to make this geography for the interest of the people and try to utilize as much as possible. You see, Pakistan is a very small nation compared to many different states in India, but it is important that it is our neighbor, and we strengthen our neighbor. We can do a lot of business opportunities can be created for people of that country by using our country. You see, there is a very good logistics system that we have. They can use the transportation system of this country to send their goods and to receive goods, which could be very cost effective for them. We can talk of making movies together at some point. We can talk of think of playing cricket together. When you can have a West Indies where you have different small tiny countries joining together and forming one nation of West Indies. So we, India and Pak, should make a common cricket team and play against the whole world. You see, we have to bring people together, and we have to have a concept of getting them together. And we have to have a regional integration, which is very important. You see, we can have trade opportunities. We can help people from that country to come to this country and explore various opportunities. You see,
Mr. Asif, those are positive words, and I really agree with you. But there is also a lot of harm in the world, and like terrorism, we cannot avoid that. It's all over the world. How can we maintain peace in that point of view?
Well, you see, terrorism has been again a global topic, a global subject that is there, and I suppose that this issue could be only solved by engaging with people. Literacy is a very big thing, and I'm talking with the Indian context. I'm not talking on the global context at this time. If we talk about an Indian context, I want to tell you that in India, we have to have education. The education system has to engage. It has to excel. It has to invite people to come and get themselves educated, because